Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this show today. I have a very special guest, somebody that I am really excited to interview for a couple of reasons. Number one, we have a lot in common. And as I talk to my guest, who, by the way, her name is Terry Wade, I see that we have so much in common. So this is going to be an interesting show for sure. But Terry is a resident of San Francisco. She is a professional speaker. She is also an author. Tomorrow, her brand new book is dropping. So that is so great, fellow author. And she's also a coach. Terry believes in whole person care. So, what does that mean? Mind, body, soul. Gotta have it all. And that's why she's on this show. But today we're going to talk about unbreakable confidence. Ooh, I love that. I've got goosebumps just thinking about unbreakable confidence. Hey, Terry, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing, Tara. Thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be here and excited to share the good news about confidence and happiness and stepping into our best self.
I love that. So you and I met earlier this year, and we were both speakers at the same event. So that's how we met each other. So I delivered my speech, went back to the crowd. Couple later, Terry delivers her speech. You go up there. And your speech was so powerful. And I could see that just purpose was radiating
Mhm.
off you. And you seemed really confident on stage. And I may have seemed confident on stage, although I was pretty unsure of myself at the time.
You definitely did.
I was
Yes,
really
you
unsure. I was very unsure of myself,
are.
but seemed confident. But we weren't always confident, right?
No.
So, Terry, tell us a little bit about your story, and what it was like before you became this speaker, this author, this coach, this really confident person.
Yeah, well, thank you. So, yeah, it wasn't always confident. I don't know if we're maybe born confident, lose it, or what the scenario was. But what happened for me is when I was younger, I was about 8 years old, and I had these stepsisters, and they would make fun of me all the time. I was really living like a Cinderella's lifestyle. I
Wow.
was so excited to have stepsisters. My mom was just the sweetest person, so I started reciprocating this just very sweet, wanting to do things for them. And then they really took it for granted. And then they started blackmailing me if I didn't do the chores or I didn't do things for them. And so with that, yeah, it just became this whole Cinderella story. And my mom had gone to rehab. My dad just worked around the clock to give us the good life, right? Amazing man, and everyone's love language is different. His is definitely giving gifts and acts of service, and mine's really quality time and touch. And so, now with all the personal development, I've learned a lot. But in that moment, I was at such a low point where I was thinking, if this is life, then I want nothing to do with it. And I actually created a plan to end my life. And I had told my friend about the plan. I had one friend, and then she immediately told her dad. And then my dad had picked me up and we had gone to therapy. But I was at this low point. With the bullying, I lost my self confidence. I lost my self belief, my self love, my self worth. I just didn't see a point in wanting to live and do this life thing anymore. I didn't have a sense of purpose. I didn't know who I was. And so that's kind of where I started, where I didn't have confidence. I think as a very young child, my mom was saying I was very talkative and outgoing to people. But that moment, and I feel like a lot of us have these defining moments in our life, and it's really the meaning we give to it, which I've now made a new meaning for it, and which has helped me step into my purpose and be able to share a message. But before, I just made it mean that I didn't matter. My voice didn't matter, who I was didn't matter, and I just played small. I actually stopped talking for a while, only if like immediate family I would talk to. But if you were just an acquaintance, I would just kind of like smile and look away. I didn't want to be seen. I just wanted to play small. So that's kind of where I started, not having any confidence. So for people to see me now, they really get blown away because I didn't
Yeah.
talk. I'm on stages speaking to people, and I go live all the time, and I want to share the good news of happiness. I want to share the good news of how you can create your life. I really believe we can, manifest, and manifest really means to bring forth. So whatever's already in you to bring out into the world. We are so powerful. And I've developed a deep spiritual foundation. And with the spiritual foundation, it's really taken me to just new heights of confidence and new heights of personal power and happiness and a sense of meaning and purpose in my life.
I love that. I'm a big believer in it as well. I'm a very spiritual person. And I realized that, when I was really struggling with confidence, I wasn't what I call tapped in, right? I
Mhm.
feel like I had a really close connection with my spirituality, with what I believed in. But I'm with you. Like once I really started understanding who I was, what I believed in, and that there was, a higher power out there, it made me start to feel really confident too, because I started to realize that, we're all made with so much potential, and there's nobody out there that creates one person to be confident or successful and have abundance and wealth, and for somebody else not. Like, that's not how it's intended, right? So I think that we're all fully capable of living our best lives, but it does help when you take care of that whole person, the mind, body, the soul. But you really got to tap into what you believe in, don't you think, and align with that, right?
Oh, it's so true, and I think for everyone that is feeling like a lack of confidence, there is tools and techniques we can use. I know you have your amazing book that I got on Amazon. I love it. But yeah, there's tools we can use to come back to confidence. But even before the tools, believing in yourself and believing that you're here for a purpose. So I think tapping into that spirituality sense, whoever it is that you, hey, there it is, whoever it is that you believe in, and for me, it's all comes from the same source. So whatever name you want to put on it, names are just symbols, anyways. So whatever it is that gives you that connection, that sense of meaning and purpose, and so what that was definitely the reason that's given me more confidence because I believe we are guided and supported and I believe the end is good. So we don't have to worry in the meantime. We just show up and do our best. And we in this world, we really for me, like forgiving the past and telling a new story is so important. And telling a new story about what happened to you and telling a new story about what's possible is so important to understanding who you are and what your power is. Just in terms of and belief. So instilling that belief. And then yeah, there's the tools on confidence too. We can definitely dive into which
Yeah,
yeah, you
I
definitely
love
know
that.
about, and I talk about in my book too. My letter C for the A to Z happy is confidence. So when you're, talking about confidence, I'm like, I that is one of the fundamentals of being happy and living a, prosperous, happy life as well.
Absolutely, that's right. So your new book that's launching tomorrow, holy cow.
Ah.
The C in your book stands for confidence, and it's so important. And for years of my life, I didn't know. I knew I was lacking confidence, but it's not like I put a label in it or something. I wasn't walking around saying, "Oh, I'm lacking confidence. How can I?" I actually was just thinking I was depressed. I was
Mm,
anxious. I couldn't reach the level of success that I wanted, but I knew something was blocking me, but it's like I couldn't quite put a finger on it, you know? But for a lot of people, it is that confidence and that self-belief. And, I read an interesting statistic yesterday according to Psychology Today, 85% of the world's population is suffering from a lack of self-confidence. This couldn't
mm,
be a more relevant topic. I mean, you're talking billions of people at this point, right? So,
yeah.
whether we put a label on it or not, I think a lot of people can relate to, I don't believe in myself. I can't quite get there. I'm struggling. I feel like something's blocking me. What's preventing me from getting successful and being happy or fulfilled? A lot of times it's that confidence, right? We just lack pure self belief. And going back to your story, have we been bullied? Have we experienced external forces in our lives like hardships, adversity, trauma?
Mhm.
And I kind of liken confidence to like a meter. It may start off full, but then it just slowly dips down, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting what you say about the meter because I feel like we are born really confident when you see these young children just running around, jumping off things, not even worried if they're going to fall, or they fall and they get right back up and they don't make it mean anything. They just keep going. And so I feel like we've had so many external circumstances that we make meaning for us. Like we're not making our own meaning of who we are, what's possible, how confident we can show up, but we're letting the outside world dictate, who we are and what's possible. So I think, yeah, that's where it comes to knowing yourself. But a lot of the things is just what are you telling yourself on a daily basis? So I'm really big on mindset. And so are you waking up? Well, they say, just, you're talking about psychology, just the science behind it is we have 90% of the same thoughts day in and day out. And so it's like, let's change that thought pattern. So if you're saying, I can't do this, or who am I to do this? No, who am I not to do this? Like, I'm here for a purpose. I have so much good to spread in the world. I have a mission. And the thing you can do with confidence is just kind of like with gratitude, but what are you good at? Instead of thinking what I'm not good at, focusing on your strengths. So I'm really great at cooking. I'm really good at communication. I'm really good at building relationships. Like focusing on your strength zone. And so then that builds you up and you can already feel your vibration raising. So even right now, as you're watching this, think about all the things that you're good at. Like I'm great at building relationships. And it can be the smallest things. Like I can put a great outfit together. I can
Mhm.
make a good meal. I mean, it doesn't have to be this grandiose of things. And I feel like that's a lot of times people think they need to have these big grand confidence, things that they're amazing at. But it's just a little by little and acknowledging all the little things. You'll just feel your vibration raise. Like, just think about it right now. And as you're raising your vibration, so I'm big on vibration as well, like energy and vibration. I believe everything's energy is all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It's not philosophy, it's physics. And so as you're raising your vibration by focusing on the good and what you're grateful for and what you're good at, then you're gonna act and attract in a different way. And so as you're acting in a new way, then people will notice you, or you'll start noticing other people. So I noticed you and your confidence book, and I was just so excited about it. And so that caused me, because I'm in this zone of focused around confidence, focused around growth, that I notice you, because I'm in that state of vibration where we're on the same level. It just becomes a match. I want to share this message, you want to share this message, and so it just becomes a frequency match. And so thinking about what you can do and thinking about what you are good at, it's such a shift in mindset, because I feel like we've been programmed to play small, like in the world. Just
Yes, especially
yeah.
women, right?
Especially women, I was gonna say that too, yeah.
Yeah, we have been programmed to play small, to think small, to get by,
Yeah.
right? And that's like that survival brain. I think it's, yeah, part of that's just, maybe how we're programmed or wired. I don't know, but it's like, people, when I work with clients, I ask them first session, what are your goals? Let's define them really, really well. And a lot of times it's extremely attainable goals. And I'm like, you realize you could have that today, right? What are your goals? And by goals, I mean, let's think about a reach. What is a reach goal? And it turns out what, you know, I call it, or somebody what else would say a reach goal. I look at that as very attainable. And it's
Yeah.
because of a mindset shift and these beliefs that we tell ourselves, but also going back to your thought process. You were talking about so many of our thoughts per day are negative, and then out of those negative thoughts, we have repeating thoughts.
Yeah.
It's like that, it's that area where it gets into that you are manifesting, but it's not the things that you want.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? What do you
Yeah.
think?
And well, there's also a negative bias we have. So I studied, I'm certified in positive psychology coaching, because I have a lot of the spiritual, just knowing, but then it's like, how do we get grounded into the body, and how do, just wrap it in, in the worldly context of like here and now, and what do we do in our body. So with positive psychology coaching, it says we have a negative bias. So anything negative happens, it's 3 times more like prominent, standing out in our mind versus something good. So when there's something you say to yourself that's negative, and something you're internalizing that's negative, it's going to have 3 times more of an effect on you than if something positive were to happen. So when something negative happens, you really come back with that, with 3 positive thoughts, and really 4 if you want to get back on the positive side. So knowing that, like knowing these different interventions about how our brains are wired, how we are just emotionally wired, it's like you have to really do a lot more work to become positive, because it's really like a survival mechanism, I think, where
Yeah.
it's like we don't want to put ourselves out there to get hurt. We don't want to put ourselves out there to get rejected. And so yeah, that's where I think some of the negative bias comes in, where we really need to know that. And so when like know yourself, know how the brain works, then you can use the tools to combat it. Where It's like, okay, I know this is happening, and I know that, I've been dwelling on something negative. So now I need to intentionally say 3 to 5 positive things so I can get out of it. So I don't know if that makes sense.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. And I mean, our brains are computers, right? So we have
Yeah.
to, in a sense, think of it as a program, right? So,
Mhm.
if we're stuck on that negative program, guess what? We're going to keep having those negative thoughts, and what else will happen will be negative outcomes. But what if you could replace some of those negative thoughts that you have with empowering ones, with
Yeah.
ones that are unlimited in possibilities, right? Instead of saying something simple like, I can't afford this, but it's something that you really need. Shouldn't be say anything with a absolute. It should be, how can I afford it? Ask
Exactly.
leading questions instead of making absolute statements, and then think positively. Okay, so now I'm thinking, how can I afford this instead of I can't afford this? Now I'm also going to say, you know what? When I can afford this, I know I'll have a lot of success, and automatically put success into your mind.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we automatically set up ourselves for failure before
Yeah.
we even start something. I see that a lot in coaching clients as well, that they automatically think they're going to fail before they start. So it delays their starting. And then what happens? We live with regret, don't we, Terry?
Yeah, no, I think it's yeah, having that growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. So yeah, like you were saying, perfect example. Like, how can I do it? Not I can't do it. Because there's infinite resources, infinite possibilities out there. So it's like, how can I? So tapping into that stream of what is possible. How can I get it done? And so yeah, super interesting. And I wanted to really, I know we have a lot of things in common, and I want to hear a little bit more about your story. I don't know about you, but how like, yeah, like what resonated from my story. Like that you were like, "Oh, we have so much in common."
Oh
Like, I
my
just
gosh. I mean, the show can't go on for 24 hours, unfortunately. We
just
could probably talk all day, but I was bullied, uh,
Mhm.
as a kid, so we have that in common. It wasn't necessarily family members for me, although I had an absentee father,
Mm.
but it was kids at school. I was ruthlessly bullied. I'd never been asked to a school dance. I'll just put that out there. Never been asked to a school dance, so I was like very much a black sheep kind of. I never felt like I fit in anywhere I went. And I was even, when I started, like my corporate job, right? I was bullied there too. Toxic
Yeah.
workplaces, boom, boom, boom. So for so much of my life, I just felt like I was trapped in this endless cycle of toxic, endless cycle of bullying, endless cycle of limiting beliefs because of other people.
Mm.
There's so much to that. And, it started in childhood, very young for me, because I didn't have a father around. And when he was around, you didn't want to be around him, right? So he was an
Mm.
alcoholic.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that went into that, that honestly, if if we're being honest, I can't recall ever feeling confident until just recently.
Really? Yeah.
So we're talking 38 years of unconfidence.
Yeah. And you shifted
Wow.
it. Yeah.
And I shifted it.
And you're
And
showing
then I
up, and you
figured
have
it
a
out.
book, and you're speaking. It's just amazing.
Well, it's for me, it was, purpose is greater than self,
Yeah.
and putting the ego to the side and realizing that those
Mhm.
adversities that I'd experienced, if I didn't share them,
Mm.
I wouldn't be able to help other people. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to, even get the success that I was looking for. I was so embarrassed, like, for my almost my whole life, about where I came from, who I was. But I realized it's actually my superpower, because it allows me to connect with others on a really deeper level. And if I wouldn't have shared my authenticity, guess what wouldn't have happened? I wouldn't have written a book. I wouldn't have gotten a TED Talk.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence. Sharing your authentic story and being vulnerable is absolutely a key.
Oh, it's so big. Yeah, the being vulnerable was really, growing up, I was like told, present yourself, like get dressed, you can't wear that, present yourself well. And so, yeah, I just kind of always, if I didn't feel like it, I would just do it. And so I wasn't feeling like I could be authentically myself. And I love that you're talking about purpose. And it sounds like, yeah, this is your purpose, is to spread the good news. And that's a big thing with confidence too. And we talk about in positive psychology, is not making it so much about us, but being of service, like doing acts of kindness. And that really, like, when you take it away from you and put it into somebody else, it makes you feel better and it gives you confidence when you are being of service and of purpose to somebody else. It just brings a lot of meaning into our lives. And with that meaning, we get confidence. Like I'm here for a purpose and developing that purpose. And I feel like a lot of our purpose is in our story. And you had mentioned that. And so it's like, it sucks that we went through all of these things, but then you think about it, and it's not that bad because then we get to help other people. And I really believe healing is not even linear. I think, when we heal, we are healing, past generations, future generations. It's just a beautiful way of doing life, of being the best you can be, healing for yourself, forgiving. And it was interesting how you were saying that you were in this pattern of when you were younger and then in corporate, because I do believe, we're talking about frequency and vibration. If I heard something, it was saying, if you feel like a victim, you will attract a victimizer. And I think it's just so fascinating because, and I think that's with everything. You feel confident, you attract more confident people. I mean, you're feeling confident, I'm feeling confident. Here we are, in front of the whole internet, in front of the world, just sharing our most authentic self and our most vulnerable parts of us. But it's because that like attracts like. And so it's like, who do you want to embody, who do you want to be? And if you really want to have these big goals and you want to step into your purpose, then just feel that. And once you vibrate that and feel it, then you're going to just start acting and attracting in a whole new way. And so but the purpose is big, and not making it about you. And that was the big thing I had in the beginning, was I'm like, how are people going to see me, and what am I going to look like, and am I going to be, it was just so much about me. And then that's when you're in this little egotistical world of me, then it's just, then it's like, we're not perfect, so it's setting myself up for failure. Like I'm gonna fumble over my words. I'm going to We're just gonna happen. Like, we're not perfect beings, and so you can always practice and use the tools, take the coaching. I think coaching is essential to
Yeah.
getting a step farther in life. Even if, like, say, like, Michael Jordan, like, he had a coach, but he was the best. But still, to become the best and stay the best, you still have to have a coach. Not necessarily the coach is going to be a better basketball player than you, but to have that accountability and have the tools. And there's just so much around coaching. And without personal development, I would definitely not be where I am today, without having the coaches to guide me, to keep me on track. It's really just essential to helping me have the confidence that I have today too.
I love that. We're so aligned. My gosh. And,
Yeah.
purpose is so key because, in the beginning of our talk, we were talking about strengths, right? And,
Mhm.
when you're aligned with your purpose, you're naturally leaning into your strengths. You're not going against the grain. You're not trying to, climb an insurmountable mountain.
Yeah.
It's a natural gift, right? And just recognizing it and not downplaying it, leaning into it. A strength I have is just teaching, right? I like to be a guide. So I guide people. I like to teach. And turns out that's just a natural strength. So what am I going to do? I'm going to keep showing up and I'm going to keep teaching. I'm going to keep adding value, right? It's a natural strength. Part of my purpose is to help other people get confident, right? Because of my story and what I went through. So I'm going to use that adversity to now catalyze and galvanize other people to become
Mhm.
confident. But I want to tell you something because this is really interesting. When I first had my meeting with my now TED organizer, we were on a Zoom call together and she asked me something. She asked me, "Why you?" And you know what
Mm,
I said? I said, "Oh, it's not about me." I said,
yeah.
"This has nothing to do with me." I said, "I need to spread this message to help other people."
Yeah.
And because of that, it made it so, right? So that opportunity came into fruition because I was not self interested.
Yeah.
I had an interest of helping others. And I think that is the absolute key, right? Don't you think, Terry?
It really, really is. Yeah, yeah. No, yesterday I had started feeling it's just a sense of just a lot going on. And so I went for a workout, and that, helped release endorphin. But then I'm with the book launch, giving prizes away. And so I got in such a good mood thinking about what am I going to give people and what do they want? And how can, what's going to make them happy by getting these gifts? And so that completely shifted my mood. I just started doing, and it's interesting because you think if something's going on with me and I'm feeling down or not, where I want to be, that you would be something internal that you have to do. But really going out and just creating these prize boxes just made me so happy, and it made me feel purposeful and shifted the energy. And so, yeah, doing things for others. And for me, in a spiritual sense, we're all connected. So when you do something for others, it's coming back. There's just an ebb and flow, and it's
Mhm.
not like you're doing it to get something back, but that's just the nature of the universal laws that we're working with. It's just
Yeah.
you give and you get back. And so when you're giving out good energy, you're getting back positive energy, not necessarily from like the person who's going to get the prize, but yeah, it just feels so good knowing that I'm going to help somebody and bring some light to somebody's day.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's certainly the model I took with this book launch as well as prize giveaways. And it's the first lesson I teach in my book is give more. It's very simple. That's the very first lesson in the first 2 pages. Give more. And when you give to others, like you said, you get it reciprocated back to you in unique and different ways. And you know what? You're always covered. I had an incident, I think it was maybe this spring, maybe something like that. There was a gentleman in front of me at the grocery line, and he didn't have much. He had like coffee and donuts. And I told the cashier, I said, "Hey, just ring him up under me. I've got his stuff."
That's
Well, it
so
was like
good.
15 bucks, right? It didn't take a lot of
Yeah.
energy and effort on my part. But you know what? He was so, you wouldn't have believed, smile ear to ear.
That's
He was
funny.
like jumping. He was so excited.
Yeah.
I
Amazing.
and I said, "I just have a good feeling." So I went to the lottery machine and I just got a ticket. Guess how much I got back?
Yeah.
$15. It
No
was,
way.
I swear, it was
I
like
love it.
it was a little over the amount that I gave him, and I said, "This is absolute proof. It always comes back to you.
Yeah.
You just have to keep that high vibration, keep giving, because that high vibrational state is built on that giving, that gratitude, that love for others, don't you think?"
Oh, so much so. I love that story. I really love that story because it's just proof like there's no lack. I really don't believe that there's any lack. It's just abundance. But if you live in lack and that's your focus and that's the vibration you're in, that's the state you're in, then you'll experience lack because that's what you're focusing on. What we're focused on grows. But when you give in abundance and you are just like this is gonna come back and you're like letting go and you're surrendering, you're not making suffocating anything. It's like I am okay. I'm guided. It just works out. It definitely works out. It just in flow. And then also you felt it. You went with that feeling and then it came back to you. Like you even went for the feeling of, playing the lotto and it happened. And then so not only, did you get your money back, but then you got to give somebody else a beautiful gift. And I just think the flow is so important because if you feel like I can't do this because like no, like go for it, do it. And then also as you give more and you get that feeling of it feels so good to give, you want to keep giving and then you keep giving and then as you give then other people see it and then they want to give to you and it's just like so much abundance and it's just yeah definitely raising your vibration and as you're in that high vibration state people are just going to be attracted to you and they're going to ask like who you are what you're doing how can I be of service to you they just want to be around you and in your energy when you're vibrating at that high level.
Absolutely. It's contagious, right?
It
And I feel
definitely
like confidence is a vibration too, I
yeah.
feel like not a lot of people talk about that. We talk about different vibrational states, there's anger, there's apathy on the lower ends, but at the higher ends there's joy, there's love, there's gratitude. But confidence is a vibration too, and I feel like, really confident people, if you've ever seen a really confident person, they're like magnets. They just attract more and more success and all these opportunities and things to them. And it's like a magnetism. It's like they have the power of gravitation. That's what I like to think of it, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
I
I love
love that. That is so powerful. But Terry, I know everybody is going to be interested in your book. Again, it launches tomorrow. Where
that.
can they find it? Where is it available? Where is it going to be on?
Yeah, it'll be on Amazon and it's A to Z Happy book. It's A to Z Happy. And it's a 30-day guide to making happiness a habit, stepping into our purpose, and living out our most abundant life. And so, yeah, you can find that on Amazon. It'll be available. The ebook will be available tomorrow. And then in a couple weeks, we'll have the physical book launch. We're just, yeah, getting people, just the ebook so they can get started on their happiness journey. And the physical book does have like lines you can write in, because it's going to be a quote, like my thought about the letter for the day, and then an affirmation in a lesson. So with the lesson, when you do get the physical book, you'll be able to jot down all of your lesson notes. And so you'll have it as a manual to come back to as often as possible. And the goal is just to be daily happy, like day in, day out, and not necessarily, every second's going to be happy, but you're able to see the good, like that growth mindset. So being able to see the good in all the situations, and then not always doing immediate satisfaction, because like say you want to eat a chocolate cake, like but you want to be like lose weight or something. So you're not going to have that immediate satisfaction with the taste, but maybe a bite, but you're going to have the long-term happiness goal of doing the things, stepping into the person that has the daily happiness. And so I'm really excited about it. The lessons are powerful when you dive into the lessons and you actually do them. So it's not so much just having the head knowledge, but the implementation where you're going in and it's an inward job, telling the new stories, reprogramming your mindset. And so once you do that, you'll be able to live out daily happiness. And challenges are going to come up with positive psychology. A lot of people think that everything's just happy and positive. Like we're not sweeping anything under the rug. We're going to, face whatever's coming to us, welcome it, look at it, accept it, feel it, heal it, and then let it go. So it's about how do we navigate through adversity and challenges, as well as being positive too.
And with 30 days, you should have that as a habit after those 30 days. So what I like about it, about your book and your method here, is that it's building on each other, right? It's
Mhm.
building on the previous day, right? And then it's reflective, so it gets that person engaged, not just reading words on paper, but also engaged with it, and pensive about what this means to them, because it's always a personal journey. But after
Right.
30 days, that should be a habit, and then we can really start to not just be happy for just a few moments at a time or even a day, but like sustained happiness, right? And part of that is just that fulfillment, and finding and aligning with our purpose. Because again, if I feel like when you find and align with your purpose, what makes you more confident?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and living confidently is a huge part of happiness, because once you know yourself and you're like, I can just be happy, and then there's no shame in it. There's no trying to people please. You can set the boundaries, and yeah, so being confident is a huge part of happiness. So
I love that.
yeah, super aligned here.
Oh, I love that. Well, Terry, it was such a pleasure. Thank you so much. As soon as your link is available, go ahead and we will make sure that's put in here so that everybody can get your book and check it out. But thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. And this won't be the last time. Let's do it again.
I
But
love it.
yes, thank you so much. And we will catch everybody on the next episode.